It's muted. That's what it is. It's muted. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Other Side podcast. My name is Janelle Villiers, and I am your host. We're here on the Other Side podcast. I really don't know where that. Does anyone else hear that? Oh, I will figure that out, and hopefully that doesn't drive me crazy. All right. So I am here on the show. If this is your first time here on the Other Side podcast, please put a 1 in the chat. Hey, Adam. Let me know if this is your first time. If you have been here before, go ahead and put a 2 in the chat. That way I can shout you out. Super excited to have you all here with us. Um, and a lot of times, as you guys know, I talk about mental health, and it's the echo again. Hold on. I'm going to try one other thing to get rid of the echo. All right. If that doesn't work, I will just have to mute myself every once in a while. Hopefully that will help with the echo. But it'll all work out. Anyway, welcome, China. It's good to see you. Adam, thank you for coming back. Vincent, really excited to have you here. Hey, Darren, shouting everyone out. Thank you so much for coming on. I have a really, really important topic. As you guys know, I am all about mental health. And so this is, oh, awesome. Thank you, Darren, because I hear the echo and it's driving me crazy. So I have a really, really important topic this week to bring to the table. And that is just what is the face of mental health? When you are walking down the street, when you have people in your family, your friends, do you see any of them and look at them and think that they may be going through a mental illness? Do you think that something could be going on with them? Do you ask your friends, are they okay? And do you really want to know an answer? Not just kind of like, oh, I want to hear fine and then keep moving on with my business, right? Um, and so I'm really excited because I have a guest on with me today. And this guest, yes, I have IG muted, so I'm not sure what's happening. But I'm really excited because I have a guest on me with me today who's going to be helping us with this topic. And so she is a mother, she's an entrepreneur, she is such a amazing, heartfelt mental health advocate. I couldn't think of a better person to bring onto the show except for her. She's like the best person to bring on. And so everyone, please, like, big round of applause wherever you are for Ikeko Bass.
Yeah.
Hey, Janelle, that was awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. There you are. So excited to have you on with us today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I am overwhelmed by you being here, by you sharing your story. I'm so excited for people to hear all about it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, first of all. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
So, for those who don't know about your story, please tell us a little bit about why mental health is so important to you. Why for you is this something that you really want for more people to be aware of and to talk about?
So mental health is very important to me because 2 years ago, I was in a mental crisis, and I used to say, oh, I had a mental breakdown, but I didn't have a breakdown. I actually broke. I had a mental break. I broke. I committed suicide. I was on life support. They called my family in. Life was too much, and I lost all of my coping skills. And I realized it could happen to anyone. I landed myself in the pokey. I call it the pokey, but in a mental health facility for 9 days. And I realized, and I met some really amazing people while I was in there. And Janelle, there were people just like you and I
Mm.
who just who couldn't take one more thing. So I lived to tell it, and I surrendered my life to the Lord, and I said, Lord, I'll tell it. I have to. And it's just
Mhm.
something we don't talk about, right? We don't talk about it.
Agreed. I don't think enough people talk about it. So what about, like, what were some of the things that were leading up to your break, as you call it? Was there
So
anything in particular that, looking back, you could point to and be like, oh, this was one of the things that led to
there,
it?
there were several things, and these were all major things. So
Mhm.
from April of 2021 to February of 2022, I had 7 deaths in my family.
Oh
And
my
these
God.
were not, yes, and these were not distant relatives. These were relatives that I was close to.
Mm,
Um, Also, I have 5 children, and I was an empty nester. And
mm,
that was hard for me because I was used
mm,
to being around, a big family, 5 kids, and married. I had work stress, and this work stress was the thing that pushed me over the edge. And then
mm,
on top of that, I was dealing with a failing marriage after being
mm,
married at that time for 20, I think it was 22 years.
mm,
We've been married for 24 and together for 28. And it was just one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. And I just wanted it to stop.
mm.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that seems like the only way for it to stop is to take your own
For
life.
sure.
Is that
Well,
how?
yeah. And you know what, Janelle? I believe the lies that my mind was telling me, right?
Mm,
Oh, no one wants you. Your kids
mm,
don't need you. Your husband doesn't love you. No, you're a has been.
mm,
You're out here on this island by yourself. No one, Kiko, no one needs you. No one loves you. No, you're not worthy.
mm,
All of those things, I believed those things, and I could not quiet the voices that were in my head.
mm,
I couldn't. I was just, but I was praying and I was going on about my day. I would go to work, not sure how I got there.
mm,
Don't even remember getting there. Don't
mm,
I didn't remember a lot of things. I was isolating myself and just telling myself all of these things that were so not true.
mm.
Were not true.
Well, those of you who've been on the Other Side podcast before, you guys know we talk about this a lot. The voice in your head, the things that you're telling yourself, the fact that they're not true, and how can we bounce back to recognizing what really is our truth? Who are the people that can surround us to make sure of that? I know that I think this is why I want to talk about this type of subject more, because I do feel like, because people are ill-equipped to
Yeah.
recognize that that's even happening, right? So it's happening and you're not even aware that, oh my goodness, like, this is not right. This is abnormal and this is untrue. And so you just get stuck in it, right? I call it like a
Oh,
spiral, right? Like, you just get stuck in it, and it's hard to get out,
yeah.
because, to your point, you feel like you can't share it with anyone. I call this, for those of you who've been with me, you know that I call this shame-based thinking, but like, that's what shame-based thinking loves. It loves to isolate, and
Yeah,
it thrives in that, because so you don't tell anyone, because you feel even shameful for even having these thoughts,
exactly.
and then you don't express it, and so it just stays in this loop. It's like the self-fulfilling loop,
Yeah.
hard to get out of. And do you think there were moments where there were some folks in your life that maybe helps you to prevent you from maybe trying to commit suicide before you actually got to the point of committing suicide? Or
Well, no. And the reason I say no is because they did I didn't know I was to that point, and
Mhm,
they did not either. But I will say this, my husband tells me all the time, or my ex-husband, and I still love him dearly. We're the best of friends. But he says to me, I'm sorry, I didn't know how bad off you were right? Because I could not say, hey, I need help. Hey, he knew something was wrong with me. But even though I was spiraling, I was still, again, trying to go on. Janelle, I was one of the strongest people that I knew until I wasn't. Until I wasn't. I mean, I was the fixer. I fixed everything for everybody, until I couldn't. But about a month or so before, I had sent one of my girlfriends who we had been friends for over 15 years. And I had sent her a text that morning saying, hey, I am so thankful to have you. I'm so thankful that our paths crossed. And I love you. Well, she felt like that was weird because we had been friends for a while. Hey, our paths crossed 15 years ago. What are you talking about? So she called me and she said, hey, you know what? I don't really like the way you sound. I'm gonna come and lay eyes on you. And she did. And when she got to my house, I actually had a gift for her, and I had put my gun clip in her hand. This was like a month before, but even at that, she kind of felt guilty. I should have known. I said, you couldn't have. We didn't know what to look for. And I kept saying, I told her, I said, I'm going to give you this. Something is telling me to give you this. I'm fine. I'm okay. And I'm talking to her just like I'm talking to you right now. So I'm like, I'm okay. I'm fine. But I just need to give you this.
And so let's talk about the equipping then. Like, what are some, like, if we're talking to our friends, our family, Thanksgiving is coming up, right? It's where we see a lot of people. The holidays come up, and I feel like in isolation, people, especially around the holidays, they have certain expectations of being around people, and it should be like love filled, and there should be all of this, and yet people still feel more isolated and alone than ever during that season. So what are some signs that people can look to say, oh, this might be a sign that this person needs more help than I can give? Because that's the other thing. None of us are suicide prevention experts, right? I shouldn't say none of us. Most of us are not. There are some people who've been trained to be that.
Right.
And so what are some things that we can look out for so that way we can then help our friend get to, or family member get to, someone who is an expert?
Well, one of the signs we need to look at is we need to look and see, is this person's behavior, has it changed? Are they more, introverted, and they're usually, kind of extroverted? Are they isolating? Are they kind of to themselves? And ask a person, a lot of times we say, hey, how you doing? Ask, how do you feel? How do you feel? How are you feeling?
How are you feeling?
And a lot of times, even when people would say, how you doing? When I was spiraling, oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I was not good. And now I don't lie because I still struggle, right? Last Tuesday, I had some anxiety. I just had some anxiety, and I'm like, oh God, and I'm praying. And he's like, listen, now you can have this anxiety, and you know where it will take you. You will start to spiral. You're going to get your heart rate up, all of the things, or you can give it to me and trust me and go to sleep. Because when you have that anxiety, when you have that depression, you can't sleep, you can't eat. Are you oversleep? Are you overeating? But yeah, first thing you want to do is ask them, how are you feeling? How is your mental? How is your mental? How are you doing mentally? Because everything else might be okay. They might not be struggling financially. Things might be well on their job, but they may be struggling mentally. They might be struggling mentally.
I love that. So one is how are you feeling?
How are you feeling?
How are you doing mentally?
How are you doing mentally? And sit and have a conversation with them about it. Really listen to them.
And I love this because I I actually had a conversation with people about this, I think last week or maybe the week before, but it's, are you really listening or are you listening to respond?
Yes.
And so we're not talking about listening to respond. We're talking about listening for understanding. So you ask the question, how are you feeling? How are you doing mentally? And then you listen, and you listen for understanding, not to
That's right.
interject, not to put in your own thoughts and opinions. Just listen to understand. Make
That's
sure
right.
that you understand how that person is feeling, what they're trying to communicate with you.
Yes.
I think that's huge. So, okay. So one of the other things, PS, if you're getting value from this, if you feel like these are things that you can incorporate into your life and the people that are in your life, please go ahead and put a V in the chat for values. That way we know that you're out there. Also, if you have any questions for Ikeko, I mean, she's on here now. So now would be the time to ask your questions, and she will answer all of your questions. So I just want to make sure I put that out there while we're all together. So, okay. So one of the signs, they start acting differently, right? That's what one of the signs. What's something else that you have come across as another sign?
For me, acting differently again was extroverted and just started to kind of revert inward. I was the life of the party. And all of a sudden, I was overtaken by fear,
Hmm.
just by fear. Um, if there's a change like in their increase in alcohol use, if
Hmm.
they're using alcohol or drugs, and you know that they don't, they may drink occasionally, but they're trying to mask something. They're masking that pain.
Hmm.
Losing interest in personal appearance or hygiene, not
Hmm.
showering, not combing their hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I don't have to comb my hair. I can just get up and do this. But
Uh-huh.
those things are very important. Just any kind of changes that you see. Expressing rage, someone
Mm.
who's, they're normally calm, but they're just, you notice they're angry all the time.
Mm.
Hmm.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Like on edge and angry when
Yes.
they didn't necessarily used to be. I was listening to the Breakfast Club. They had on a marriage and family therapist on, and she mentioned that the one about the hygiene. Like all of a sudden, their hygiene just isn't the same. They're not keeping up hair and nails, sure, but even like they don't smell like they've taken a shower or a bath.
Exactly.
Like,
And you don't. So there were days that I didn't shower every day.
mm,
I didn't. I didn't shower every day.
mm,
And then if you start giving away things that are very important, like,
mm,
hey, here you can have my Louis Vuitton bag that I love dearly. Like, wait,
mm,
really? But you love this bag. I know, but I don't need it.
mm,
And you know what? The crazy thing, Janelle, I never take off my wedding ring. I
mm.
never take it off. The day before I took it off, I took it off the day. I never take it off. I don't take it off when I swim, when I bathe, if I'm in the ocean, if I'm cooking, I don't take it off. But the day before, I took it off.
Do you remember what you were thinking when you did that?
I don't. I didn't even remember taking it off. I just remember when I
Oh,
got home, because where's my wedding ring? It was on my fireplace mantle.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Your mind is gone.
Right.
And you just want it to stop.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
And this just reminds me that sometimes when you're in the spiral, yeah, you can't see out of it. And so you end up doing things that don't make sense like any other moment. In the moment, I'm
Mhm.
sure it made a ton of sense for you to do that, right? Like do this thing that you don't normally do. It made a ton of sense, I'm sure, at the time to like, why shower? It's like a waste of time. What's the point, right? Like, why do all these things? And Yeah. And like
We-
you're so wrapped up in the thinking that's happening, to your point, that
yeah,
the things that are lies, essentially, the lies that you're believing
yeah,
about yourself, that you don't even see the actions that you're taking that are the opposite of what you used to do, because all of a sudden like that stuff makes more sense.
yeah.
That's really, really important. And so for me, I think this is interesting. One, because I want people to know what it feels like to be there. Because the point of all of this is any one of us could be there. This is
Listen,
anyone. It's not, it could be
anyone.
you
It,
person listening right now. It could be you.
what
It
is
could
the face
be
of mental health is your top
exactly.
question. It is us. We
It's
are
us.
the face. We
Hmm.
are all the face of mental health, each and every person. You
Hmm.
know, it's oh,
It
it,
could be your mom. It could be
it
your brother. It could be
it
your
could
best
be your son, your
friend. Hmm.
daughter, your best friend. It could be you.
It could be you.
It
Hmm.
could be you. It was me.
Hmm.
It was me. And I would have never, not me,
Hmm.
others, but not me, because I had a handle on my mental. So I
Hmm.
thought, you
Hmm.
know, and of
Hmm.
course you have triggers and traumas, right? I've never heard the word trigger and trauma so much since COVID. COVID has really
Yeah.
brought on some triggers and some traumas. And of
Right.
course, I have had trauma in my life, trauma in my childhood. But I think, Janelle, over the years, that what I've done was, like most people, is blocked it out, swept it under the
Mm.
rug, and I never dealt with it. But there comes a time,
Mhm.
right, where you can no longer dress it up.
Mhm.
I remember being in Walgreens a few weeks ago, and a lady says to me, "Oh my God, you were just so well put together."
Mm.
And I said, "You know what? Thank you." Because I wasn't always, not on the
Mm.
inside. My outsides have always looked good, but not my insides. Um, but we've got to not just look good, but we've got to be good.
Yeah.
And we got to be good from the inside out. Was there one specific event that caused you to turn away from wanting to harm yourself? To
Mm.
turn away from? No. There was nothing that caused me to turn away from. No, because I just wanted it to stop.
Mm.
I wanted it to stop. And it was like I already felt isolated and alone. So I felt in that moment like my family didn't need me, right?
Mm.
They didn't need me. They're living their lives. They're doing their thing. I'm here by myself. It was lies. It was lies.
So, thank God it was unsuccessful, your
He
attempt.
left the 99 to find me, Janelle.
Mm. Mhm.
He did.
Mhm.
He did.
And so, is there, looking back, is there anything that you like feel like could have helped, if your family did do something, or not that, and here's the thing, they did not know, so nobody knew, so
Mm-mm.
this is not a, oh, you should have done this. But now that we do have the information, it's kind of like, if this were to ever happen again, what is something that someone could do? So I'm asking you so that way we know what to do, like moving forward with our friends and family.
Just look for the patterns.
Mm.
Look at patterns. If this person is normally, but this is the thing, right? I also know cases where people were fine and great, and because again, I was spiraling, but I was trying to continue to stay up on top, to continue to
Mhm.
be. I think before it happened, the day before it happened, my husband and I, we have a pool. We went swimming.
Mm.
I had anxiety. He knew I had anxiety, but it wasn't from that. I had been dealing with some anxiety.
Mm.
I've had anxiety since COVID.
Mm.
So just look for, the different signs. Just if they're starting to withdraw and they're normally an extroverted person, if they start to give away things, if
Oh,
you know
yes. So then, right. So let's say they see that. Then what should they do? What
if
would
they
you
see that, then I would be calling for help. I
Okay.
would not leave that person by themselves. I
Okay.
would let them know, hey, listen, we see something, and this is not the time to go back and forth. We just want to make sure that you are okay.
Right. Right.
I'm not, you're not crazy. However, we're all everybody's dealing with something. You might not be dealing with what I'm dealing with. I might not be dealing with but we are all dealing with something. And the thing is, we just can't let that something overtake us, because it can. And then if you get a couple of somethings and the somethings just keep coming, now it's always something. It's always something, but we've got to learn how to deal with the somethings. We've got to learn how to breathe, practice mindfulness, set healthy boundaries. There's different things that we can do, because life is gonna continue to life. And those were the things. I lost my coping skills.
Mm.
I couldn't cope.
Mm-hmm.
I could not. I could not cope, Janelle. It was unreal. It was unreal.
I guess so. Where I am, and we're so over time. So I want to be respectful of your time. But one of the
Oh,
things
I'm fine.
that I think about, that I think even Adam's question was alluding to, is you hear these stories, right? So I think of like Twitch, who was the DJ on the Ellen DeGeneres show. You think of I don't know. I mean, we know like very famous people, right? Like that we can point to. And they talk about what they were doing the day before. I think about Heath Ledger. I think even Heath Ledger was like hanging out with people, his family, similar to what you described. Twitch was hanging out with his family the day before, having like fun with his friends, laughing, the whole thing. So everything seems fine, and everyone's like, "What happened?" Like it feels like everything's fine until it's not.
That's right. And it is. And you could be fine 1 minute,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next minute you're not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can be fine. Monday I was fine. Tuesday I had severe anxiety.
Mm-hmm. So,
Wednesday I was fine.
oh, this is okay. This is a good question. So, do you think you would have responded to people who were reaching out to you, or would you have just given them "I'm fine" answer? How do how do you make someone want to hold on to life?
Well, and that was the thing. My friend did reach out when she came over, and I just kept saying, I'm good. I'm fine. As I handed her my gun clip, I'm good. I
What's
am
that
good.
say?
But something is telling me to get, and maybe she thought, oh, since she gave me her gun clip, then, I got her gun clip, so she's good. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying?
Now she's good, right? And
Now
sorry,
she's
and to be clear, please, if you don't mind, if would you share? Could you share what you did use? What was your
absolutely.
tool?
I took 11 Lexapro and 45 Ambien.
My God,
Yeah, I shouldn't be here. I
yeah.
was on life support. They called my family in, and you know what? This is my hallelujah is going off. It's time to pray.
Mm.
But my, I kid you not, for less than 24 hours, I was on life support for less than 24 hours. Woke up intubated, and like, oh my God,
Right, what's happening?
what is happening? What happened?
Right. Do you remember the moment when you were like drinking the pills? Do you remember?
I tell you what I remember.
Mm.
So I went to the doctor that day because I
Mhm.
was having some anxiety, severe anxiety. I was actually supposed to go to court that day, but I was having
Mm.
some severe anxiety. Went to the doctor that day, and my blood pressure was through the roof.
Mm.
And my doctor was like, "Hey, Miss Bass, what's going on?" I'm like, "I can't eat, I can't sleep. I got to get this monkey off my back. I need something."
Mhm.
So she gave me what I normally get. Lexapro. I've been on Lexapro before. I've taken Ambien before as needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting in my car, but I don't remember driving home.
Wow.
I don't remember. Evidently, I stopped at Burger King because there was Burger King in my car. I don't remember that.
Oh, wow.
I they had to go get the medicine, right? So
Right.
Walgreens is right next to my house.
Um,
I don't remember going to Walgreens. I do remember getting out of my car,
mm,
going into my house. My
mm,
son said I called him. I don't remember that. I
mm,
remember coming in my house, walking up the steps,
mm,
going to my daughter was home. I remember going to her room and telling her, Mommy is tired and I'm going to lay
mm,
go. I am so tired. I'm going to go lay down.
mm,
I remember going in my room. And then from there, it was like out of body, right? It's like you're watching yourself.
mm-hmm.
So you can't, it's about like this virtual screen, um, you're watching yourself, but you can't hear yourself,
Mm,
and I didn't count them out but that's because I had just gotten a refill of 2
mm,
months, so it was 60 pills, and there was only 15 pills left, and it was so funny because my husband, um, he said I had called him. Evidently, I had called him right before. I don't remember that, but
mm,
he had called back and I didn't answer the phone. And he was actually supposed to go like to this training or something with one of his friends, but
mm,
was worried about me all day with this anxiety. And when he didn't get me, just so happened he came home.
mm.
Yeah. And found me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that is God right there, because for you to
Yeah.
not really remember is, I believe that that's a God thing, for
Yeah.
because you probably shouldn't, to be honest. And
Yeah.
it's probably good for you for that way, so that way you can relearn your coping skills, relearn how to
Yeah.
navigate, to your point, life as it continues to life. And so that way you can get on stages and talk to people
Yeah.
and use your platform to be able to share this message, like, I survived and I look like everyone else that's around you.
Absolutely.
So you need,
Absolutely.
like, we need to pay more attention, especially to the strong ones. I know we you mentioned it, but it's something that I think also is it's like a pattern. People will say, "Oh, but they were so strong.
They were so
They
strong.
were they were the one who made everybody else laugh. They were," right? Like, you get that kind of thing, and they'll say like, "Oh, check in on your strong friends."
Yeah.
But
I
I
don't
think
care
sometimes
how
people don't even recognize who the strong friends are.
right. They know because they put a lot of pressure on those strong friends those strong friends are always there for them. Just whenever they need them. But you can be so strong. These glad and healthy, strong bags, they are strong. But you keep putting stuff in them. You keep on and they're gonna break. And
Mm,
that's just like, us, we can only take so much
mm,
before we break.
mhm,
We can only take so much.
mm.
And
Ugh,
you can't always, I'm sorry, Janelle, but you can't always, there's not always a sign.
mm,
There's not always anxiety. There's not always depression. Sometimes people, um, they're fine. Or I was just with her yesterday and she was
mhm,
laughing and she was, all the things, as the young people say. But if I can say one thing
mm,
that we can do as humans
mhm,
is be kind. Be kind.
mhm,
And I can't say that I was always a kind person. I was kind, but I was a nice, nasty person. I used to be nice, nasty. I,
right.
I did, but now I've learned to be nice to the nasty. But I
Mm,
mean, now I wouldn't dare be nice, nasty because I have no idea what the next person is going through.
Right.
You know, I don't.
Yeah.
And again, we're all going through something. And it could just be the thing that just breaks that person. You know, so just be kind.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that is definitely a great message to leave on. There have been studies that show that kindness from strangers can actually change a person's whole day. So I agree to that 100%. Thank you so much, Ikeko, for sharing your story,
Pleasure.
for giving us some tips, for helping us navigate like the thought process within our head, helping us also understand some signs that we may see from our loved ones. I think this is so helpful. I would love to have you back in the future.
Sure.
2025 is around the corner and we're going to need a reminder.
We will. I will be honored.
Thank you again. Thank you so much. Again, if you found what Ikeko had to share here today, please put a V in the chat. Tell her thank you for sharing everything that you can. We thank you so much. Thank you, Adam, for staying on. Thank you, Vincent, Darren.
Yes.
Over on the Instagram side, thank you, Judith. Thank you, Verdi. Thank you, One, for joining us. Really and truly, this is really important. We need to get this message out to more people. So thank you all. If you're watching the recording, thank you for watching the recording. This has been amazing. I will be with you guys next week. So one of the things that you can do to spread the love, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, the like, all the things, because this tells YouTube that what we're talking about here is valuable and needs to be shared with more people. It doesn't cost you anything to support us. I really appreciate you. Ikeko, again, thank you so much. Everyone have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.